Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm 33 already. Um, yeah, and I've been watching horror movies since I was a little kid. That's probably not a good idea, but it happened, so yeah.
Yeah, not sure how to express myself on this track. How do you honor a man's life in the rap? I don't drink malt liquor, so I don't got nothing to pour out. And I'm the type that always seems to struggle with my self-doubt. But Nick somehow always believed in me, and I know I could trust him and his honesty. And honestly, I wish he was still here. Probably tell me who cares what the people think and don't fear. He joked that he made everything 10% dumber, but the thing is, you really had to stop and wonder. The other 90% was in full effect. Sharper than sharp with a keen intellect. Looking towards Valhalla, the Valkyries sing. Check the group chat, he was the first with the next meme. When it came to being nerdy, my dude was the king. Could link supernatural to almost anything. Like the one time on Supernatural, Sam and Dean had to stop the apocalypse from actually happening. I can't believe he's not here to talk about Black Panther. Can only imagine how much he could banter. He was a comic Wikipedia, the details he knew. And yo, he thought old man Logan was hella cool. At a loss that he won't be here for The Last Jedi. Not sure I can watch it now and not get misty-eyed. Yo, Nick V, you were the best of men. I can't believe we will never podcast again. Though we never met face to face, you're my friend. And I'm really struggling that this is the end. Yo, Nick V, you were the best of men. I can't believe we will never podcast again. Though we never met face to face, you're my friend. And I'm really struggling that this is the end.
Welcome everybody to a special joint episode of Nerds from the Crypt and Saturday Morning Nerds, two podcasts that were made 90% wittier by our brother Nick, 10% V. As some of you may know, last Sunday we lost our fellow nerd Nick, and it was a shock to, I think, most of us, and we're still trying to gather our thoughts on how unreal it feels. So we all decided to get together and do a special episode to honor Nick. As always, with us on Nerds in the Crypt, we have Shell. How are you doing today, Shell?
I'm doing okay. I'm missing Nick, but I'm glad to be here with you guys.
And like I said before, this is a special episode, so we're bringing in some of the cast from Saturday Morning Nerds from California. Jake, how are you doing today?
Hey man, a little not as good with Nick not being here, but yeah, I'm okay overall, I guess.
And then from the other side of the world, well, I'm not sure if it's actually exactly the other side of the world, but from the future, we have Owen from Owen Likes Comics. How are you doing today, sir?
From the future? I can roll with that. Yeah, I'm doing okay. You can't see it today, but I'm dressed in black for the occasion. But yeah, I mean, it's nice that we're all together talking, but I wish it was under nicer circumstances.
Yeah, and I think we had. Well, just to give a little history as far as why we're doing this joint podcast, Nick and Jake started off in Saturday Morning Nerds about a year and a half ago, Jake?
Something like that, yeah.
And I think I came in and joined them a couple of episodes in, I think episode 3 or 4, and then
I kept on trying to get you to be a permanent host, but you kept on dogging me because you wanted to do Stephen King stuff and spy shot stuff, and then you stole my co-host from me and started doing horror stuff. So.
But Owen was part of a couple episodes on that as well.
Yeah.
And then yes, like we said, I think the date, like 6 days or not even a week after I joined the first Saturday Morning Nerds. Nick joined me to do a review of what was it, 11/22/63, and that podcast was the actual start of Nerds from the Crypt. While we didn't really make a plan for it to happen, we kind of just liked, I guess, talking about Stephen King related stuff, and that's really where the birth of Nerds from the Crypt started or came from. Mm-hmm. So
Shell, when you officially stole Nick from me is just trying to say.
Yeah, and then Shell came in. I think it was episode 3.
Yeah.
With it was Frailty, right, Shell?
Yes. A recommendation from me that I liked way better than I always was trying to get Nick to like it as much as me.
Yeah.
but he didn't. But it's okay.
Well, no, and the thing is that when he saw it, he was crapping all over it on the chat with me and Jake.
I know.
But then on the podcast, he was a lot more complimentary than so.
You didn't want to be mean
Because
to
he
your
was
feet.
being nice. He was being
Yeah.
nice to me.
No, but he did say he didn't like it at the end. I mean, he didn't. What did he say? He said it was all right. He didn't hate it. He didn't love it. But I think with Jake and I, he was just I think he was just taking shots at me for recommending. Because that's what we did. We Nick and Jake and I, we kind of just all we bust each other's chops, right?
Yeah.
So before we move on to anything else, Jake, would you want to share how you met Nick?
Yeah. I was trying to pinpoint exactly when it was like I don't know if we started talking or exactly what, but I know it goes back to like comic books, which I pretty sure is like first love. And what was it? Kind of like how we all met was through the Weekly Pool comic book guys on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I were specifically fans of Comic Pop. And so back then, this is how long it's been. I went and checked their website. They don't even have the forums anymore because I was like, oh, maybe I can pull up some of the old back and forth I had with him, but I couldn't find them. But my articles are still up, so hey, that's cool. They're like buried, but they're still there.
That's before we stole you to Nerdfeed, and then.
Yeah, exactly. You guys took me away from them to Nerdfeed, and then Nerdfeed happened, and then but yeah, so so we would be watching that, and then what I would do is, like, I don't know, when I'm a fan of anybody, I usually like make a little Photoshop, like terrible Photoshop things of whatever joke they've got going on in their videos or their content. And so then, like, I think me and him got into like who can make the worst Photoshop, and then we're kind of cracking up. And then by that point, it's just like you start watching these guys so much, you're like, hey, I want to be a content creator. I think I can do this. So I gave it a shot. And Nick was like, I don't know. He liked the stuff I did. Like, I don't know if he got my humor or he felt sorry for me, didn't want to tell me. But, or he's like, he just supported me. He was like one of the first people like to do one of those Photoshops for me. Like, I think in one of the ones I was doing, I think it was a Mike Garley Samurai Slasher. I think I made fun of like, what is this movie? It's Alan Tudyk and this other guy, and it's kind of like Fred and Bill fight evil or something like that. It's kind of like a comedy horror. But I couldn't remember, and I still can't remember what it's called.
Isn't it
Do you remember what it's called?
Ted and
something, right?
Tucker or something like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tucker and something fight evil. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still can't even remember the name. And like in the middle of recording, I was just like, screw it, because like back then I didn't write a script. I would just improvise everything, which is a terrible thing to do if you're not a great improviser. And I said like, I think I said like Ted and Flanders fight evil. And so he photoshopped like from the movie Ted, the little teddy bear, and then Ned Flanders fighting evil. And he's like, dude, I love this movie, Ted and Flanders fight evil. And then like we just became friends, and like, yeah, it was just his thing to like bust your chops and stuff like that. And it's funny because it's like I found one yesterday when I was that song that everybody heard at the beginning. When I went to go post it on SoundCloud, I was like, oh, I know I have a picture of him on my computer. So then when they ask you for your, what picture do you want, I just typed in Nick. And and instead of getting the actual picture of Nick, I got, let me see if I can pull this up. I posted it on, where is it? Here it is. I posted it on Twitter, but I don't know if everybody saw it. But it's one of his comments to my videos, and he said, "This video is so good, I died. Went to visit my ancestors in the beer halls of Valhalla. Had a harpoon throwing contest with Odin and won. Depth perception. I can't even say this. Depth perception, biatches. Came back into my body. Got wrongfully imprisoned in North Korea for impersonating Kim Jong-un. Got released and sent back home. Won the Nobel Prize for uniting North and South Korea. Accepted my prize. Got in the cab home, and then I finally clicked the like button." So this is the guy that Nick V was like. he's still busting
Yeah.
your chops, but he's hilarious as he's doing it. And yeah, he just loved us. So like, to me, he's always been a friend, but wow, did he know how to make you feel like you were like if he were a fan. And maybe he would say he's a fan of ours, but for us, he's like, no, you're a friend.
Yeah.
But man, he really did know how to make you feel like a star. Like I'm like, wow, dude, like you're crazy. But yeah, I think we just hit it off from there. And then yeah, Saturday Morning Nerd started as a fluke. I was trying to do some live stream stuff to test it out. And then I think one other friend from when we used to do Let's Chat, which I think is where all of us met. At least me, Saul, Owen, and then we had like Nick Goldman and then Eric. They jumped in, and then it was like in the middle of the night, so it probably would have been the morning for Nick, and then he was just like, hey, I can jump in too. So and then we just did an impromptu comic book thingy, and then that's how Saturday Morning Nerd started. So yeah, and then other than that, it's like you and Nick blowing up my Google chat before work. I have like at the time I had a 10-minute drive to work, probably even less if I didn't hit any red lights. There would be like 54 missed messages between them, and then by the time I got to the office and like pulled out my phone, it's both him and Nick going, Jake, answer, respond. I'm like, you guys, I told you I was gonna drive, like leave me alone. So, but yeah, so that's my kind of like story of becoming friends with Nick.
So I think I was the next one to meet him, I believe. And like I said before, it happened actually a little bit before I learned about Saturday Morning Nerds through Jake, because at the time I was doing these Perspective reviews, which I never did anymore after 11/22/63. But I was doing. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still a little salty that you stole this from me.
So what happened was I think Jake had told me, he started watching the review, but he had to like shut off like 2 minutes in because I was going into spoilers, and then he goes, but you know what, my boy Nick, he likes that show, and he's been watching you. So I'm like, oh yeah, so cool. So then that's when you asked me to be on Saturday Morning Nerd. So I went on there. I think it was the review of Daredevil, the first 4 episodes, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
I think that was the first time I was on, I think. And so I went on there. I talked to Nick, and then I took Nick, like, hey, Nick, Jake told me you've been watching 11/22/63. And so he said, yeah, I like it. I like that Franco guy. And yeah, so I told him, hey, 11/22/63 is actually gonna finish, I think, in a week or two, and would you like to join me on in doing that review of the series? I'm gonna do the review of the last episode, and then I would like to do an overall. And I think we got together like at 11 at night on my side here, and I think we went like 2 hours just talking 11/22/63, and that's where we actually like, what if we do a podcast where we talk about all the Stephen King movies, all the episodes, or whatever. And I think the first initial name of this podcast was going to be King's Corner with KK. I think
too close.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we decided to change it to Adaptation King or something like that. I forgot what it was. And then our very first movie we did a Nerds from a Creep Show. So we're like, well, this is obviously not going to. Well, actually, that is Stephen King related. So I'm like, well, you know what? Let's change it to Podcast from the Crypt. So we released the episode. That's a really bad audio show. You had noises popping everywhere, and we didn't know what we were doing. We just kind of just did it just for fun.
Yeah. And
then after I released that episode and it goes live, and then we were like, you know what? We should probably change it to Nerds from the Crypt. And he was like, yeah, that does sound a lot better. Let's just change it and don't even talk about it. So we changed it. But yeah, and then we had these chats. We chatted every day, Sunday through Saturday. Sunday, or let's say Sunday through Sunday, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I would wake up and Nick would already be in there saying something about what we had talked about the night before, I think Jake and I, and then I wake up and then I would start chatting, and then Jake would join us. Like, I think Jake was awake in some of these already before me, and it just got to the point where we were just chatting every day. I'll be at work and I'll see my little hangout thing pop up, and we just talk every freaking day. And
and I was actually even confused sometimes because you guys would use the chat where the three of us were on there to talk about your podcast stuff. And so it would be like bing, 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 and I'm like, why don't they have a Nerds from the Crypt chat so I don't have to, like, I'm over, like, am I the CEO and they didn't tell me, like, what's going on?
Because he stole him and he felt obligated to put
I get, yeah, there's really,
he just felt really guilty.
exactly.
No. What I was doing, I was rubbing it in his face. That's what I was doing.
That's right, exactly what you were doing. Like, we have this great idea, Jake.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm like, nothing. I'm going back to sleep. Thank you.
So Owen, how did you meet Nick?
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of alluded to, you, me, and Jake kind of started doing the Let's Chat show about 2 and a bit years ago.
I think almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, which is crazy as a first start. And I don't know, that was kind of the same time I started doing my own content videos. And Nick was one of the first guys who really kind of, a bit like Jake said, really kind of gave me any sort of real attention. Probably when it wasn't quite deserved, because the videos were trash. But like you said, I don't know if it was the fact that he genuinely enjoyed what I was making and he could see potential in it, or the fact that he just liked me and took pity on me. But he was always really supportive, and like you said, Nick, he could bust some balls.
Yeah.
Like, he never let his feelings go shy. He anytime I did a video on the Joker, he was very quick to point out that I've done a lot of videos on the Joker.
I think you did a video on someone else, and he's like, wait, what Joker is this one?
Yeah. A lot of times I didn't do videos on the Joker, and then he was complaining about it not being about the Joker. And then whenever I did a video on the Joker, he was complaining that I've done too many videos on the Joker. Maybe I'll do another Joker video just for Nick.
Just because he was the ultimate Joker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it is. He must be one of the 3 Jokers that's going around. But yeah, we kind of got chatting through originally when me and Jake were writing articles for the Weekly Poll, doing the podcast, and Nick kind of jumped over and was like one of the really big fans, one of the only big fans of what we were doing at the time. And I don't know, I think that without like the support that he gave us, I don't know if we really would have kind of stuck through those early years of kind of all of us really finding our feet in this weird, and I was thinking, after I found out last week about what had happened, I kind of just took a day to kind of just reflect and think, and you kind of realize like how supportive people were without you really like appreciating it at the time.
Yeah.
Like, you guys said, I always kind of viewed Nick as a good friend and someone that you could always have a good laugh with. You think about the amount of videos you've made and, how over time you do improve and you change the things you do. The fact that he was, regardless of what you were making, he was always willing to kind of not only give you the time of day, but give you his honest thoughts, sometimes more honest than wanted.
Yeah.
But he was a lovely guy. I was really glad that I got to come on Saturday Morning Nerds a couple of times and chat with him. Always a good laugh. And yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and we all miss him a lot.
Yeah, I think you found out a lot hours before I did, because they announced it while I was still asleep. And then when I found out, I was freaking out because I had just asked Jake and Shell, have you heard anything from Nick? I was getting word already, and he had been hospitalized not too much before that, and he came back and he kind of joked with us about it and told us what happened, and so we didn't see anything potentially like dangerous or anything like that. So he joked about it. And then so when I saw that, I informed Michelle and I informed Jake, and it was a day. I was on a Monday when I found out, and I actually couldn't go to work that day because I accidentally left my keys in my wife's vehicle. So I had to work from home, and I was working from home, and I got on Facebook, take a little break, and I saw that, and I just sat there like reading it over and over again, like no.
Yeah.
And I really just from there I just couldn't work. I logged off, and I was here at my desk, and just being at my desk right now, it really just brings back, because this is the way I communicated with Nick for the most part. So it was really a hard day. My wife came home for lunch that day, and I told her what happened, and I actually just bawled, and she hugged me and she comforted me, and the rest of the day I was just really out of it, and pretty much this week.
Yeah.
So it really, really hit me hard. Anytime I come to my desk, either here at work, I mean, this is where we talked. This is how we met, and it's really, really tough. So yeah. Michelle, do you want to kind of? I mean, I kind of already said how you guys were introduced through the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to just kind of say how your first impressions or our first podcast together?
Yes. I mean, I didn't know Nick, and I had known your Spy Shack podcast, and then you had mentioned to me that you did a horror podcast, and I loved horror, and I was just going to guest on there, I think the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I don't know, it just clicked, and he made me laugh from the start. His honesty is refreshing. I can't get out of my head like the time that we were trying to get him to like a movie, and he said he gave it 2 out of 10 carrots. Like he would, I don't even have him, and he busted my balls. You know what I mean? Like he had a great sense of humor. My fondest memories, him correcting me when I said I didn't watch Slither because I thought it was about snakes, and I don't like snakes, and then you guys, busted my balls and said it's about space slugs. So Santa Clarita Diet is one of my favorite funny things that I've watched that he recommended.
Oh, he loved that show.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and Atrocious, he wasn't having it. Like, we tried to be very fair with that movie. He was not having it. He had gotten to know me some more, so he was like, okay, I'm just gonna let her know how I really feel. He begrudgingly gave it a 2, which this was a 2 out of 10 carrot movie he was talking about. And it actually changed my opinion of it, because I went back and watched it, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of, yeah. But we started off loving horror the same way. We both read Stephen King very young, watched all the adaptations, and we had a love of Stephen King, all of us. And so it just kind of folded in. And the more that I got to know him, the more that I got to know his sense of humor, and his laugh was just priceless. It's awesome to go back and just listen. Now, I was extremely shocked when you told me Monday what happened. You saw it before I did, and I'm glad that you were the one that told me. It's just been an off and on rough week, just thinking of how many laughs we had and how he was accepting of me. And he sent me, he's like the gift king. He sent me, for sure, that's one of my favorite ones. Evil Laughter, very clever. Those are some of my favorite ones that he sent us recently. He had a gift for everything. And I don't know. I mean, I miss him. I'm going to miss him. I considered him a friend, and I talked to him on chats and things like that, and I miss him.
Yeah. I've actually gone through the chats and read some of his old stuff, and I get off really quickly, because it's really, some of the jokes he would do. he would he was a little snarky at times.
Yeah.
But it was never like with bad intent or to make us feel bad. It was always to make us laugh.
Yeah.
And I think when I posted it on Facebook, I said it. I go, I came really close to shutting down Nerd from the Crypt. Really close. Even the Spy Shack. It was just like not getting traction. It was, it was just taking forever. And then the audio quality, I was getting frustrated with it because I don't like putting out things I don't like, but I don't have the equipment or anything like that to make it sound good. And he's the one that really just stopped me from shutting down even the Spy Shack, even though he hated Survivor. He
He really did.
he actually went in some of the live streams and he would just joke around and just and people were like,
just
hey,
say random comments. He would just say
Yeah.
random stuff in the chat, and I would die laughing because he didn't
I think
care.
he said it goes, I think next season they should just all fight to the death.
Hunger Games. Yeah.
And so I would ignore him because I knew what he was talking about. And then one of my co-hosts was like, "Hey, Nick just did this." I'm like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't mind him." So yeah, and at that time when I recorded Spy Shack, it was like at 3 a.m. for him. So for him to come in, just because I think he would wake up to do something, and then he'd see I was on and he'd come on. So that's the kind of person he was. He knew I was on. He'd come in and just to bust my chops just at 3
I
in the
think
morning.
that's what his MO was. He'd get up to go pee in the middle of the night and see who was online, and then mess with you if you were awake.
His funniest stuff was at 3 a.m. his time. It really.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah. Or either that, or I'd wake up to a picture of his dog hiding in the blinds. I was like, what? He did that a couple times, so I was like, that was weird. So yeah, so that's the kind of guy Nick was. He supported us. He even though he's like, who cares if nobody's listening to him? Because if you like doing it, you do it, And that's what's been my motto here. Just do it for yourself, and then if along the way improve. And that's what I've been trying to do with this podcast is try to improve the audio quality, pick up some of these free programs that are out there right now that allow me to get a little bit better. I research and I think we're just getting to the point where we're starting to get a little bit more traction now, and it sucks that Nick won't be around for that. And what I feel worse about is that he was supposed to be. We've done a couple of comic book reviews, and he was supposed to be on there. I sent him the comic book to review, and the Saturday that was coming up when it was going to happen, he kind of just said, "I'm not going to make it," and that's it. He had told us, "I'll tell you by Thursday if I'll be able to be on there or not."
Yeah.
So he said, "I'm not going to be able to make it," and that was actually the last communication we had from him. And then 2 weeks later, that's when we got the word. And so in that time, I had recorded a couple episodes and I was releasing them and scheduled for release, and then what that happened, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was lucky enough to reach out to his sister and ask her, can we do this podcast? Are you and the family okay if we were to do something for him? Because I didn't just want to do it and just without their blessing.
Yeah.
And I sent her the links for the episodes where Nick was on, and I sent her the links for Saturday Morning Nerds, and they're grateful. They are grateful. They are they're amazed that Nick had friends all over the world and that cared for him.
Yeah. I think she started messaging me too, and she was just like, I never knew that he had so many wonderful people that like on the internet. Like it was kind of like, it goes back to that whole like, what was hard for me was that like my weekend was really bad because Sunday morning I found out that one of my wife's cousins passed away unexpectedly. She had actually survived like getting a tumor cut out of her like brainstem, and then because of some doctor stuff, she actually suffocated, and that's how they found her. And so we were having a hard Sunday morning, and then Monday morning we hear about Nick. So It was just a rough weekend for me.
Yeah.
And it's just so surreal because it's just like I was actually talking to one of his cousins, and it was just like it feels like, because of the time difference, like it usually is, you send him a message and you just have to wait for him to wake up or go pee at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he'll
Right.
respond to you. But it's just like you're waiting for him to wake up, or you're waiting for that time difference to catch up, and he'll see your message, and it's just like you're never getting to him getting that message, and it's just like this weird like anxiousness of like, let him see the message, is that why? Does he not have Wi-Fi right now? Is the Netherlands like have no internet? But yeah, and I just remember like sitting there, and it was just like and I know he's probably like me. He doesn't really like taking selfies, and because he is an honest guy, probably thinks selfies are stupid. So it's not like we have that many pictures of Nick.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of the pictures that you do have was back when he was in the band, which oh crap, I didn't even think to pull that up so that way you guys can actually hear him rock out on some bass, because he's got music on Bandcamp.
Oh, I went.
But a lot of-
listened.
I sent it
Yeah.
to show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, yeah, his music, that band he was in was pretty good. It's kind of funny listening to all these Dutch guys rock out and sing in English. I thought they would at least be singing in Dutch, but yeah, they're all rocking out singing in English. But like most of those pictures were because he was in the band, so they were taking pictures of the band, and that's why we have pictures of Nick, because he probably hated selfies. But man, it was just so hard. Like man, I mean, I welled up, I've cried, and it's just like, you know him so well, but it's like you've never seen him face to face, and it's just like this kind of weird but kind of cool culture I guess we kind of live in now, where it's like, before the internet, I would have never known who Nick was, and now, and like I can say like, yeah, my friend from the Netherlands said that like they don't have that much crime, so they turn their prisons into hotels. And, you know what I mean? I was like, what? And God, this dude was so proud of the Netherlands. And,
Yes,
like,
he was.
Very much.
really made me want to go to the Netherlands. I remember watching, was it the Hitman's Bodyguard, and they had, I think, a couple scenes in the Netherlands, and he was just so happy that like, oh, you got to see it, and blah blah blah. And yeah, like, oh man, it's just so surreal that it's just like, this guy, because like we had that chat, we talked Sunday to Sunday, 54 missed messages in 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, so we really got to know like when he was irritated at somebody, when he didn't like somebody.
Oh yeah.
Like all these like little details about him, and like, man, like I kind of had like that moment you did, Saul, when I was actually driving to work Wednesday morning, and I'm on a podcast now called The Salt Report, and we record on Wednesday nights. And so I was like, you know what? No, I can do it. And I was thinking like, oh, when I go on the show, I'll have a little bit and talk about him and stuff like that. And I was stuck in traffic, and there's this song by this rapper named Soul Khan, kind of like Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat, but Soul Khan, and it's called Speeding Bullets. And there's nothing sad about it. It's a really upbeat, cool, fun song. And the idea of the song is kind of like, the first verse is you're like a Superman character. You're given this power. You can fly. Bullets fly off of you. So you do good with his powers. Second verse is kind of like same scenario. You're the Superman, but now you're doing bad stuff with the powers. But the second the song came on, I was like, hey, all right. And then I started like kind of like, trying to cheer myself up because I was in traffic. And then he starts rapping about superheroes, and I freaking lost it, dude, because I went right back to like talking comics with Nick. And like I was like, I can't podcast today, crying, like ugly crying too. Like I don't know if anybody's had an ugly cry lately, but like where you're like, are people in the traffic looking at me ugly crying for Nick right now? But God, man, like I don't know. He's just like a colossus of a person, and a colossus of a personality that's just like surreal that he's not here with us anymore. And God, man, I'm gonna super miss him. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So one thing that his sister told me, when I told her about the episodes, right, she was like, it's great to hear his voice, and it's funny how much he didn't like some of these movies, and he didn't And he didn't, he said it. He was like, and he goes, that was always him.
I just want to say one thing. I'm going to miss him. It's been nice to connect with his family and that they know that he had friends and how much he meant to everybody. And I think it's priceless that the recordings are there for his family.
Mm-hmm.
Just in thinking about that in my own life and with my own family, I just think how priceless that is. And he had a kindness towards me, movie that I liked. He was always so kind, and I just think being kind is just a huge thing. And I will always be a nerd short, always, just forever.
And I didn't want to go ahead and send him the link or anything like that because I didn't want it to feel like I was like trying to promote the podcast and on the post that they put, about him passing away. But I think we each said that we were on the podcast with him, and someone said like, wait, hey, where can we go listen to these?
Yeah.
So I posted it, and then everybody was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And
his family's been very grateful for that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like when I did that song, I did this song for like us, kind of, because I mean, I'm just talking about all like the nerdy stuff. I say the stuff at the beginning about him, and then I'm like, he's not gonna be here for Black Panther. Like, the dude would have gone crazy with this last trailer that came out. He's not gonna be here to either hate or like Justice League.
Most likely dislike.
Knowing they tear it to pieces. He's not gonna be here for The Last Jedi, so that's why I was kind of like, oh man, I would have loved to hear his opinion on it because he always had good opinions on what it could be and maybe even some of his like foreshadowing ideas he had. And so I just thought it would just be us listening to it because we're nerds, and so hearing the nerdy stuff he liked. And then I did another song that I didn't really promote, but I put out there, and it was me being mad at death. And so it was like a diss track to death, I guess, if you want to call it that. And somehow his sister found. Well, I know she found the one because he sent it to her, Saul.
Yeah.
But she found the other one because I guess
she was right next to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't thinking that. Oh, yeah, it's right next to it. And so I guess she said she played them both at like their little service that they had for him. And I got like, oh my God, like all his grandparents and older people. And he said she said like, no, all the old people loved it. And I'm like, what? Like even my angry I hate, I was like, even my angry I hate you death song. And they're like, oh yeah. She's like, they love that one especially. So I'm like, okay, we all hate death right now. So I guess that works.
Yep.
So yeah.
Hey, I'm not a spring chicken, and I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved them. Thank you for doing that because it means so much.
So just
no problem.
Not to like just to interrupt you or anything like that, but so she played it at because they had a viewing service, and they were gracious enough to purchase an arrangement for us in our name and place it there. Awesome. We made a special logo for him, farewell kind of thing, and they placed that at the viewing. And then she told you about playing it because they actually cremated him. So
oh my God, this story is ridiculous. Like, so I guess they go to put him in the cremation oven, and I guess right before they send him in, she wanted to play the songs again for him. So she plays the first one, the one that played at the beginning of the episode, and then she says she goes to play the second song, and she just all of a sudden her 4G just drops, like she can't get any signal, anything to play the next song, and then she was just like, Nick, you would do something like this, like let's go. I already heard Jake rap enough. Let's get this over. And I'm like, he's dogging me from beyond the grave. Like, what is this?
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was a funny story. And I messaged her saying that like, I'm like, I bet you Nick would love to haunt all of us, but he wouldn't do anything scary. He would just do annoying stuff to like just frustrate us. Like instead of being like, oh, scary, it'd be like, where are my keys? Damn it, Nick! Give me my keys.
100% true. That's 100%
Yeah.
true.
Well,
And just laugh his ass off.
she said
because,
that she was gonna be haunting her and her mother by just messing with the tech in their house.
yeah. Unplugging the TV, like, oh, Nick.
Yeah. Or switching from Wi-Fi to just standard.
Oh man.
Like, oh no, I'm not watching this on HD. What the?
On standard definition, Nick.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, this episode is for him, but I feel like it's also big thing for us. It's helping. It still help us as well.
Yeah.
To cope with it, because how does someone that you never met mean so much to you?
Yeah.
And the thing is that like it takes something like this for you to notice how much someone meant to you. And so yeah, this is not really meant to be very somber, but it's very hard to not be somber.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would love to know that if anything that we're doing is helping his family, then I'll be more than gladly do it. His sister asked me to keep going because he knows that Nick wouldn't want to stop.
Right.
He wouldn't.
And
he was both of your biggest fan and also your friend. So
yeah.
He definitely wouldn't want you to stop.
And what got me yesterday, because Stranger Things 2 came out yesterday, the season 2, and I was like, man, Nick would have loved this. I only watched 2 episodes, and I was like, Nick would have loved Stranger, because he was the first one to watch Stranger Things when it came out, because of course Stranger Things drops while we're asleep, and I think last year when it first came out, he was bugging me and Jake. Hey, have you guys seen it? I already saw it all.
Yeah.
And I think we were just waking up, and he's like, he already seen the whole season already. And,
yeah, he already binged it.
and I'm like, no, man, I haven't been able to see it. And that's what also gets me is that he was supposed to be with us to do Stranger Things and Stranger Things 2, the reviews.
They were supposed to do that.
And in the episodes that we did, I announced it. We're doing Stranger Things 2, and it. In my mind, I know that he was supposed to be with us.
Yeah.
I know how much he loved that show. He loved Supernatural.
Oh yeah.
God, he loves Supernatural.
It was funny because I would type something that happened on Survivor, because I know he didn't like Survivor, so I would purposely just like say things about Survivor. And then he would like, oh yeah, that happened one time in Supernatural.
I can't count how many times he would do that to us for the most random thing. Like, oh yeah, I went to, this new taco shop opened up. Hey, in Supernatural, Dean and Sam go get some tacos. And I'm like, what? Like, it didn't matter what it was.
Every single thing could get related to Supernatural. You were right when you said that, because he could do that.
Yeah, I'm like, and I know there's like 13 seasons, so of course they probably done every mundane little thing, but like it didn't matter what it was. Like,
I was like, I cut my hair. Oh yeah, Sam and Dean did that.
Sam and Dean did there. Yeah, I'm gonna start working out. Oh man, Sam got really muscular for this next season. I'm like, God, Nick, stop. And funny thing is, I actually started watching Supernatural, and then a couple friends of mine started a Supernatural podcast, and I was like trying so hard to get Nick to because at the end they cover each season. And then through when they get to the end of the season, they'll have a special guest come on, kind of like to recap the whole season. And I was like, Nick, follow them, dude. You need to be one of the guys at the end. And he just never, I know he followed them and probably listened, but I don't think he, because of everything that happened, wasn't able to become like a guest or whatever. But they're like on season 5 right now, and I think season 5 is supposed to be like the best season. Mm-hmm. And I was like, really like, dude, you got to get that guest spot, Nick. You need to annoy them. Well, he probably wouldn't even, because they're all Supernatural fans. So I'm like, they would have loved you, dude. But yeah.
At the college, the guy who's working with us out in his truck.
Oh,
I hear something in the background.
What you hear is my husband. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah, I think Owen dropped too.
Yeah, he said he's coming back in.
Okay.
I think there was the one time when we were doing the Santa Clarita diet, we had a noise like that come all of a sudden on the line, and I was like, "Whoa, what was that?" We kind of just heard noises all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and then I think it was I think I joked like, I think it was a demon or something, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then Nick right away was like, "Oh yeah, it's because we failed to do our little ritual. We do a little ritual to Cthulhu, and if we don't do it right, he gets mad and he comes onto the podcast, and like he just did that like so fast, and he thought of it so fast, and it was I think we cracked up on it. So it's going to be difficult. No one's ever going to replace him on the show, but it'll be difficult to even try to find somebody who will come and guest and be as funny, as witty, as critical.
So, critical.
I remember when we watched The Witch. He loved The Witch. I think Shell loves it too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. I didn't really think it was. And I went on the chat and I told him, yeah, it was okay. Oh my God, he went at me like, oh, it's because
it's because you have no taste. So you're
Yeah.
It's that Texan in you that doesn't, you don't.
Yeah.
It was. So yeah, he went at me, I think all day as far as like why I didn't like them. And I go and I told him, I liked it and I didn't like it. It was okay. It's kind of like what he felt for Frailty. And for Frailty, he attacked me too for liking it. So.
Yeah. You're not entitled to opinions.
Right.
And we had this running joke here where I hated Austin, which is the capital city of Texas.
Yeah.
I really don't hate Austin. I just kind of just said it and it became a thing, and I kind of just kept it going. So he always said that he wanted to move to Austin. Just to piss me off. But
Just to piss you
off. So yeah. So there's a lot of these inside jokes there that will no longer be said, and they're just going to be thoughts now, and it's kind of hard to think of that.
I gotta say, one of his best inside jokes actually involves Owen.
Oh yes.
I don't know if you want to tell that story.
That lasted like a year and a half almost.
It's still been going on.
It's still.
Like, I couldn't escape that.
Well, do you want
to cut a long story short, I had the great idea to end my videos at saying, keep reading. And I don't know if it was the language barrier, just Nick busting my balls.
Probably both.
And it sounds, now if I say it out loud, it's going to sound overly simplistic and like it doesn't mean anything. It was now going to be have fun and keep reading. And there's still a good part of me that doesn't understand why. Beauty of it. To understand why he decided to change it. But I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
And well, also for a while when Owen was not using his cam, he had this big conspiracy theory that another fan of the nerd community, who was just at the time he was going by DC Mopey DC or something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot about Nick's conspiracy that I was actually moping. Made a full video explaining how I'm at.
Yeah.
I think it stopped when Mopey's friends got pissed that it kept going.
Yeah, I think it stopped being a joke to some people. But I swear one of the best parts was when Nick Goldman was trying to relaunch Let's Chat. That first episode, he was like, "Where can we find you on the internet?" You're like, "At DC Mopey," and you winked at the camera. So I was like, "There you go, Nick V. I am Mopey."
And that, I think that was what in the middle of all that stuff, and then it kind of just died after that because of.
Yeah, it kind of died after. People actually were like, "They're two different people." And we're like, "Oh, if Owen is not offended by it, why are you?"
I think Mopey. As much as he really liked Nick, I think he got tired of it. But I actually reached out to Mopey, and he said he was going to try to record something so we can play during the show, and if he does and he's able to reach get that to me, I'll insert it right here.
Nick was a delightful young man, one that was there for the people he cared about. He'd always reach out if he thought someone needed to talk, but he'd never reach out when he needed help. I wish he'd reached out more to the people that cared about him. I don't know anyone in his little circle of friends that won't miss him deeply. For me, he used to talk to me all the time. He talked to me the day that I had a severe leg injury. He talked to me when I lost my grandmother. Then one day he just disappeared, and I thought he'd left Twitter or just didn't want to be part of the community anymore. And now that I know he's gone, I know that everyone in that community will miss him deeply, and so will I. Nick used to love the joke that I, Mopey, was Owen Likes Comics. So, for you, Nick, just this once, take care and keep reading.
So I mean, we're not gonna know what it says until the movie actually says it, so we can't really reply to it. so yeah. I don't know what else to say, guys. This has been very emotional, this episode. Are you saying this is the final Saturday Morning Nerds, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about relaunching it, but then we were just, you had your 2 podcasts going. At the time, I had 2 podcasts going. Now I only have the one. I would like to start going back into some comic book stuff, but I don't. At this point, I don't want to do Saturday Morning Nerds anymore. So, I mean,
well, Nick was the backbone to Saturday Morning Nerds. He
really was. This dude was like I said in the song, he really was the comic Wikipedia. I don't know how many millions of dollars he had to buy all these comics, or if he just loved them so much that he just researched them. I don't know. But like anytime you had a question about a comic book or anything, he'd be like, oh yeah, because of this continuity or because of that, or I think like even random stuff like I like Metal Gear Solid, and I think I put like a picture of like Solid Snake with a Big Boss with an eye patch and the beard, and he's like, oh, like Punisher, and I'm like, what? And he sends me like this link to a Punisher book that legit makes it look like Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid. So I'm like, how are you pulling this stuff out of nowhere? Like, I didn't even know this comic book existed. He loved Old Man Logan. Like, he kept on telling us, like, get on Old Man Logan, man. It's really good. He kills a guy that's his lower half is a tank. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, dude. From the waist down, he's a tank, and freaking Old Man Logan kills him.
Well, I remember when Old Man Logan the movie came out, and I was actually the first one. It's one of the first times that I was the first one to watch it. From the three of us, and he's like, "Did the Tank Man come out?" I'm like,
Tank guy.
Well, I go, "Well, his character came out."
Yeah.
He was in the tank.
Yeah,
and
so
he was upset about that.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he just loved comic books, and
he loved.
He really was like, it was like, I can't remember how many, like, because most of the idea with it was like we talked about comic book news, maybe what we're reading, and then we'd have like a main topic. Like, I think one of them was Daredevil, the other one was like, I don't think there was anything going on, so we're like, hey, let's recap the Civil War comic book, because that's when Civil War was about to drop, the Captain America movie. So we're like, hey, let's just talk about Civil War. But
and then we did.
He really was the guy. Like, he was the guy that you'd be like, take it away, Nick. And actually, he did all the work too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad. He would look up all the news. He would set up the Google stuff. So maybe that's why, because I don't have anybody to be my workhorse like Nick was. No, I don't want to leave it like that. But no, I mean, that show really was like him, like being able to gush about comics, and like you said, he really was the backbone. of that show, and I would like to just honor his memory by saying that, like, um, you know, this show started with you, and I want the show to end with you. So, and then not only that, but we were gone for a long time. Like, it's probably been a year since we even did a podcast. I mean, we just kept on talking about revamping it, making new pictures, putting our faces over comic book heroes because we're nerds. And yeah, I don't know what will come of comic book stuff, but I do want to start that up again. And if anything, just to like honor him too. Like, just, he loved comic books so much and he loved talking to us about it. So, but no, I think this is a good way to honor him. Like, this combo of Nerds from the Crypt being the podcast that will continue to go on and be his legacy, and kind of like, Saturday Morning Nerds being his, like, I guess, genesis of getting into podcasting.
So, so I'm gonna try to make him proud. I'm gonna try.
And you will, man. You guys have a really good show. If I was not as scary of every single horror movie there is, I'd probably listen to you guys more. But it is easier to listen to you guys and not be scared by the scary stuff you're watching, because then you're like, and then his chest got exploded. I'm like, that's not as scary as actually seeing it. So, for fraidy cats like me, we appreciate your show, because, like, I find some of the stuff interesting, but I just do not want to be in a theater in the darkness, and then the air conditioning comes on and tickles my feet, and I'm like, I'm getting murdered by whatever. Like, but if you guys ever cover Medea Boo 2, I'll be willing to come on the show, because I'm pretty sure
Look, I just saw that, Jake. I went and saw it with my daughter, and because that's what she wanted to see.
Was it creepy?
You could say that. It wasn't creepy, like scary kind of creepy. It was. There's a reason it has 3 out of 10 on IMDb. Oh, so bad. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I will say we've gone on for an hour, and I could say I think we can actually go on for a lot more. Talking about our memories with Nick. So I'm gonna let's ask Owen. Owen, any final things for this episode about Nick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Nick was a really great guy, and like you guys kind of touched on, I think that the fact that we all around the world could have this shared friendship and experience with him it says a lot about how great the internet can be and the incredible people you can meet through it. And Nick was definitely one of those people. He was always ready to crack a joke. He was always ready to bust each other's balls at their expense, but it was always in good faith, and he was always a very warm and a caring individual. He always supported me with the various things I've tried to do over the last 2 years. Whether he genuinely enjoyed it or just took pity on me as a friend, I don't know, but I am nothing but thankful for him. And it really sucks to hear that what was going on in his life, and now that he's gone, it's horrible, because he was such a great person. But I hope that while he was going through these things, he at least felt like he had his friends around him. And I know that you guys were great friends with him, and I know that means a lot to his family as much as it means to all of us as well, to have this shared experience with Nick. And I'm gonna miss him, whether it's talking to him on Twitter, or speaking to him in private, or just him leaving the most ridiculous comments about the Joker and about Mopey on my YouTube videos. I'm gonna miss that a lot. And I guess all I can really say now is the one thing he used to say to me all the time, which was have fun and keep reading. But it's kind of going to be a little bit harder to do now that Nick's not there to keep me on my toes, I guess.
So Shell, any final thoughts for Nick in this episode?
Everything I watch from here on out that's horror related, I will think of Nick, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think I will probably think, what would he have thought of this? I love it. He might hate it. or it'll be one of those where I say, "Oh, he would have liked this too," and he left. I think I wrote this, but like he left an indelible mark on my heart and on us and everyone that he came in contact with, and I have really nothing but fond memories to remember of Nick, and my thoughts are with his family.
Jake?
Just gonna miss Nick a lot, and he really was a good friend, and I like just like you, so like I probably would have quit a long time ago if it wasn't for him saying like, who cares? Like, and it wasn't like a supportive like who cares. It was just like, no, like really, like who cares? Like, do what you got to do. Like, if you're having fun, do it. Who cares if nobody likes it, or who cares if you're looking for numbers, you're not gonna get numbers, Which is funny because he would always be probably like the number one person to watch it. So all that would matter was that you get that one view. So I can't thank him enough for like encouraging us and then me and all my like silly endeavors that I've done, because I mean I struggle with the like, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore, what's the point? And but I could always count on like him watching it and having some kind of funny comment that he's in Valhalla listening to it or whatever. Yeah, I just want to thank his family for being so nice to us, man. Like they've been really nice to us, and his sister in particular, who's done like just an incredible job of like probably holding the family together. And oh man, I feel like I don't want to stop talking about Nick, but man, we're really gonna miss you, Nick. We're gonna make you proud. Nurse from the Crypt is just gonna keep on going, and Saul and Shell are gonna do a good job for you. And man, we're really gonna miss you.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's hard to even think of what I want to say, only because I think we brought this together. This episode, we're gonna do it like by Tuesday or Wednesday. We said we're gonna do it, and even with all that time, it's hard to even think about what my final thoughts would be for this episode. He was part of our lives for more than a year and a half, maybe two. I'm not even sure exactly how long it was. And for Jake and I, it was a everyday thing. And like I said, I expect my Google Hangout notification to light up. And that's actually been the hardest part, is not having those notifications go off. And it being because he's not able to.
Yeah.
It was hard enough when he disappeared for us a little bit, and that's really why we started asking, like, has anybody heard from him? And it's harder now to know why. He never let us know he was sick. He never wanted us to be worrying about him. I hope he knew how much he meant to us.
Yeah.
And his sister just does say that the internet community was a big deal for him. Yeah. I don't think she'll mind me sharing this. Is he was sick for a while. I won't say exactly what it was, but he was sick for a little bit, not for a little bit, for a while. He never let us know he was sick, which is probably one of the reasons why he stopped touring or stopped playing with his band. But she says that she often worried that he was lonely, and all this reach out, everyone reaching out to him and saying how much he meant to each one of us, really showed her that even though at times he was not able to leave his room, even at times where he wasn't able to walk, that he had us, that he was able to talk to us. And maybe he was lonely as far as physical companionship around him, but he was surrounded by us. He had our love. He had our communication. So and I told her, as much as you say that you thank us for the time that we spent with him online, I want to say we want to thank him for all the all the support that he gave us, all the laughs he gave us, and for bringing a lot of us together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a hard week for us. I can't even imagine how it's been for his family. And I'm glad that we were actually able to help a little bit, even if it just provide some things for his services. But I'm thankful for them for keeping us up to date on how everything was going.
Yeah.
I agree.
I had said I think each of us should drink some tea during this recording. Yeah, that was his main thing. So we actually sent a mug over to, I think I sent to his mom, and I said that this was for him, for his tea whenever he wants and feels like he wants some tea, and they told me they're gonna place it by his picture.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll always have his mug to be able to drink his tea.
Awesome.
So
That's great.
I don't know how to end this episode other than saying farewell, my friend. Thank you for the time you had with us. Thank you for the support. And we'll podcast again one day.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm 33 already. Yeah, and I've been watching horror movies since I was a little kid. That's probably not a good idea, but it happened, so yeah.
Yeah, not sure how to express myself on this track. How do you honor a man's life in the rap? I don't drink, want liquor, so I don't got nothing to pour out. And I'm the type that always seems to struggle with my self-doubt. But Nick somehow always believed in me, and I know I could trust him and his honesty. And honestly, I wish he was still here. Probably tell me who cares what the people think and don't fear. He joked that he made everything 10% dumber, but the thing is, you really had to stop and wonder. The other 90% was in full effect. Sharper than sharp with a keen intellect. Looking towards Valhalla, the Valkyries sing. Check the group chat, he was the first with the next meme. When it came to being nerdy, my dude was the king. Could link supernatural to almost anything. Like the one time on Supernatural, Sam and Dean had to stop the apocalypse from actually happening. I can't believe he's not here to talk about Black Panther. Can only imagine how much he could banter. He was a comic Wikipedia, the details he knew. And yo, he thought old man Logan was hella cool. At a loss that he won't be here for The Last Jedi. Not sure I can watch it now and not get misty-eyed. Yo, Nick V, you were the best of men. I can't believe we will never podcast again. Though we never met face to face, you're my friend. And I'm really struggling that this is the end. Yo, Nick V, you were the best of men. I can't believe we will never podcast again. Though we never met face to face, you're my friend. And I'm really struggling that this is the end.